Now, if you've ever organised a conference or being involved at all with organising a conference, let alone acting as a host, you will know that there is a time, at least once during the day, when you don't know what the hell's going to happen next. The unexpected. But it's going to be a real treat to send us into lunch. Callum Gilgore is the founder of Slingshot Edge. He's a real character, and I think you're going to enjoy this a lot. Welcome, Callum.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. We'll just put that there. So 25 minutes until your lunch. How are your stomachs? Are they rumbling? Are you hungry? That's good. That's good. That's a primal response. And in the next 10 or 15 minutes, you're going to get in touch with some of your other primal responses. Not all of them, I'm pleased to say. But what I'd like you to do, well, you're going to learn 3 big things that are going to help you get bigger deals or help you enable your salespeople to get bigger deals, shorter sales cycles, and help them engage much better with their audience. But to be able to do that, you're not going to learn it from me, you're going to learn it from yourselves. But it's not yourselves as you sit there right now, it's actually an ancestor of yourselves. So you're going to have to come on a little journey back in time with me. Okay, so there you are in this beautiful city of London right now today. But I want you to go back 200 years, Industrial Revolution. The trams were just getting introduced. You've got to go much further back than that. That screen there is black. That represents the Black Death. In the 1600s, about 500 years ago, carried on the back of rats, fleas spread the bubonic plague around this town, and it wiped out half of the people in this town. Keep going back. This is the Tower of London. It was originally created as a palace, but very soon they started locking people up in it. Keep going back in time. This is, I'll just check that it is, this is Londinium 2,000 years ago. This is London Bridge here, founded by the Romans. Keep going back in time. So the seat that you're sitting at right now was probably in a forest, something like this. You're there, you're with your friends, you're with your tribe, and you're on a hunting party, and you're feeling good. Your senses are really, really sharp. You can hear the birds tweeting, maybe a rumble of thunder in the background. And you're feeling good because you've managed to capture 2 wild boars. They weren't called wild boars in those days, they were just food. And you captured them, and you are taking them back to your tribe. And the day, well, it's getting on, it's getting darker, and it's getting darker, and it's getting darker, and it's getting quieter, and you're kind of fumbling around trying to find your way. You know it's quite a long way to go. You don't know exactly what's going to happen next. What is that? Holy macaroni, it's to lightning. You don't know it's called lightning, it's just fire from the sky. You need to move. You need to move quickly. There's rain going down your back. You need to go. Where are you going to go? You know there's some caves up ahead, so you're moving up towards these caves now. You're a bit frightened, but actually you're not dead, so that's a good thing. So get into these caves, darker inside the caves, and you know how to make fire. So you've started a fire, and you and your friends are sitting there, and it's feeling safe, and it's nice, and it's warm. In fact, it's a little bit too warm. It's a bit cramped in this cave. The cave is too small. You know there's a bigger cave with good benefits not far from here. Should you go there? Nah, Just stay where you are. In front of the fire, it's cramped, but stay where you are. What's that? There's rocks coming down in your head. You need to get out of this cave. Get out of this cave fast. You need to run. Run, get out of this cave. Get your friends out of the cave. Take the wild boars with you. Are you hurt? Are you hurt? Just calm down. Just calm down. Relax. You're out in the jungle again, or the forest, and you've moved up to the better cave. And you go inside, and there's plenty of room, and you start another fire. Perhaps you cook a little of the food. And the next day, you rise early, and you continue your journey, and you get home to your village, who welcome you home, and you go home a hero. And it feels good. Okay, get back to your seats in 2017. That was a little journey that you went on. Let's just recap what actually happened. Well, you went some walking, then there's some lightning, you took action, you got the shelter and you made your fire. Then there was a terrible rock fall, and again you took more action, you went to the better shelter and you came home a hero. Let's look at that from an emotional point of view. So, on the line is kind of normal, above the line is safe, below the line is unsafe. To begin with, all is normal. Then the lightning strikes. You take some action to get back to safe again. And then you're in the cave. And it feels a little bit cramped, but you stay where you are. And then there's a terrible rock fall, and you take massive action, and you find your new cave, and then you return home a hero. And this bit here is when you considered going to the new cave. You had a problem, and you considered going to the new cave, but you thought, I don't want to drop below that line. I don't want to become unsafe, so I'll just stay where I am. And this journey is very much like the journey your buyers go through every day. And to help with this story, I'm just going to write something up on this flip chart here. I'm going to write a number for those of you that can't see from the sides. That number is 60. And, well, think of yourself now, not as your Neanderthal self, but as a finance manager of a company today. And it's your mission in life to keep that company safe and to help it with its growth. And you're feeling at the moment quite safe, but what's come along? Brexit. That's a big thunder, lightning whack right in the head. What we're going to do, run about, check we're safe, check the systems are all right, seems all right. I think we're going to be safe. Until, well, your company's moved into new markets and you've come across an issue. You're having to deal with different countries, and your finance system needs to deal with multi-currency, and it's not doing that very well. So you invite a whole lot of vendors in and get them to present, and they all look good. You can see the benefits. Your goal is to get a new system and actually to be a hero and continue supporting your company. But actually, when it's time to make a decision, what happens? Your mind says, I have to go below that line and take the risk. It might not work with that person. The things that they're saying might not happen. It's too frightening. Let's just stay as we are and muddle on by. And that is the crux of the problem. According to Sales Benchmark Index, 60% of the deals that happen today end in no decision. Now, that's not good for you, but it's not good for your buyers. You spend a lot of money selling, they spend a lot of money evaluating. So what can you do about it? Imagine if you could eat into that 60%, it's a lot easier eating into that than fighting with your competitors. Think of the difference that that would make to your bottom line. Well, what can you do about it? To find out what you need to do about it, I need 2 volunteers. And just before I ask my friends here, I'm a very friendly person, and nothing bad is going to happen to you. So come on up here just for 30 seconds. So I need 2 people. Give them a round of applause. Give them a round of applause for trusting me. So this here is a 3-man catapult, Slingshot. I actually borrowed it from my 12-year-old kid. So it needs 3 people. So if you hold that there, kind of face me. If you go over here, kind of face me. And what it's designed for firing are these things here. These are water balloons. So what we'll do, we'll just put the water balloon in there, and let's just point over that way a bit more, okay? And to overcome no decision, you need to ramp up the tension. Now, Jonathan said, I'm not allowed to fire water balloons into the audience, but if we ramp up the tension enough, what happens is it bounces off the wall there, and you're safe. Give these gentlemen a round of applause. So I really didn't use a water balloon. It was a little ball there. So you need to ramp up the tension. So how do you do that? Well, you need to really focus on that rockfall rather than your solution. Most salespeople focus on the solution, but really it's the rockfall you need to focus on, because that's the thing that causes action, and that's the thing that you want people to do. And you're going to do that by providing some insight. Now, in 2017, there's never been so many artificial intelligence apps, mobile apps, web pages to give you insight. So you need to take, or as sales enablers, you need to orchestrate it so that your salespeople can take this insight and build it into a story that shows your customer that they might become unsafe. And if you can do that, first of all, you raise your status as a seller. Your customer opens up and answers all your discovery questions, reveals more of their problems, and you're much more likely to get action. And if you can put all that inside a story with contrast, then the 6.4 buyers that Jonathan was talking about a minute ago, suddenly that story begins to percolate through that group of people, whether you are there or not. So as sales enablers, you need to make sure your sellers have got these stories at their fingertips. And it's not a blunt instrument like the catapult. It's very refined. Because that insight that comes from these apps, well, some of it is insight, but most of it is just data. It only becomes insight once you turn it into a story that's in the context of what your buyer wants to achieve. And then they care about that story. And then your customer is much more likely to choose you. Now, this fellow here, Daniel Kahneman. Has anyone ever heard of Daniel Kahneman? Put your hand up if you have. Okay, so what was the name of his fantastic book? It was called Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. And he spent his life studying what motivates people to make decisions. And actually, let's just get rid of that. There's lots of things in his book. But one of the things is about how people don't use logic at all, like we all think. They actually use their emotional mind. Just imagine if part of the rules when you came to this conference was that Jonathan said you have to flip a coin and bet £50. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. So everyone comes in, you flip that coin, and you win. You win the £50. So imagine this line here is you feeling normal. Above the line, safe. Below the line, unsafe. So you win £50. How do you feel? You feel pretty good, yeah? Just change that in your head from £50 to 50 units of feel-good units. Okay, reset yourself now. You flip the coin for the first time. You lose. How does it feel? £50 down. You'd think that would be minus 50 feel-good units, wouldn't you? But it's not minus 50 feel-good units. It's minus at least 100 feel-good units. People hate to lose. They like to win, but they hate to lose much more. So the motivation to get people to take action is down here, below the line. But what do most salespeople talk about? Most salespeople talk about all the benefits, all the value they're going to bring you above the line. So there is some motivation there. Essentially, the motivation is the difference between the feeling here and the feeling here, where you could be. But most salespeople don't do this. They don't go down there. Why not? Because they're afraid. They're afraid that this negativity will somehow rub off upon themselves and they'll be kicked out the room. And if they do it wrong, they can be. And in fact, you might recognize some of this as being similar to the Challenger sale. But the Challenger sale has failed with many, many salespeople. And it's because there's been a key ingredient missing when the customer has come and when the seller has come and tried to challenge down here. I'll tell you what that key ingredient is in a moment. Just to show the link between this and your customers, Daniel Kahneman did a little study of New York cab drivers, looking at how they behaved on the right-hand side on rainy days compared to how they behaved on sunny days. Now, on rainy days in New York, it's very easy to pick up fares. So you think if you were a cab driver, you would work long and hard hours on rainy days. And on sunny days, it's much harder to pick up a fare. So you'd think you'd take your leisure on these days. But how did the people behave? Well, actually, most of them did the exact opposite from that. So logically, to maximize their income, they should do the opposite. But in fact, most of them on rainy days went home at lunchtime, and on sunny days, they worked long and hard. So this is kind of crazy, but this is human behavior. The taxi drivers are not that different from your buyers. So how does this work? Well, instead, the taxi drivers were motivated to return to this line of normal. And normal meant earning about $500 a day. So they're motivated to earn this fixed amount of cash. And at the beginning of the day, their feeling is down here. Then they pick up a fare, and they feel much better because they're closer to normal. Then they pick up another fare, they feel even better, and better, and better, until they hit the fantastic goal of normal. Okay, it's raining, it's only lunchtime. To keep going and earn more money, maximize the profits, they should keep going, but most of them just go home. They should keep going, but most of them just go home. So convert these taxi drivers' heads into your buyers' heads now. What you need to do is make your buyer realize. So imagine this is one of your competitors. They've just said, oh, look at all our benefits. There's the value that your buyer feels from them. Then you come in and say, Mr. Buyer, here's some insights for you. Here's some information for you. The tax laws are about to change very, very soon. I know you feel things are going well right now, but actually these laws mean that very soon you might be breaking the law. And in fact, your buyer feels they're not there, they feel they're down there. And then typically there'll be questions and discovery and more discussion. And then you can talk about your benefits. And when you go away, the feeling that you've generated, the feeling of value that you've generated inside them is not this little amount here, it's this massive amount here. And when it's time to make a decision, they're much more likely to take action, much more likely to choose you. But the missing ingredient here is empathy. Now, we've not got time right now to cover every aspect of empathy, but it's very difficult to talk in this way here without upsetting your customer. So a very quick rule of thumb, when you're down here and you're referring to what could be your customer, use the word they. So you would be talking about a customer with similar challenges, and you say, yeah, well, one of our other customers was in this similar situation, and what they found was when they didn't act, when they didn't take such action, by the time they'd broken the laws, it was too late. So now you're not kind of attacking your customer, you're helping your customer in a positive way. Typically, your customer opens up, tells you some more problems, and then above the line here, well, most salespeople, when they're talking about their solution, they say, oh, we can take that pain away, we can fix that, our system can stop that. But remember the goal of your Neanderthal self? It was to be a hero. And you can only make your customer a hero if you talk about you. So you start saying, well, you can mitigate this risk. You can take these actions. You can avoid getting prosecuted. Okay, how's your tummies, everyone? Rumbling? So you just learned 3 things that you can do as sales enablers to gather these different people together, product marketing, sales, and build these stories using the insight from all these amazing tools that are available. Number 1, you need to appeal to your customers' survival instinct. Number 2, you need to wind up the tension, or help your salespeople wind up that tension. And number 3, when you reveal your message in your conversations, you need to use extreme empathy. And by the way, this is not theory. We're just back from Las Vegas, where we trained 2,000 salespeople from the fastest growing company in Silicon Valley right now, Palo Alto Networks. Patrick referred to Snow Software earlier, focusing on the rock fall rather than the solution, doubling the value of every one of their deals and shortening their sales cycles. So, have a fantastic lunch. Give yourselves a round of applause. You've been very patient. And come and see me this afternoon to talk more about this. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Callum.
Thank you.